Hey guys, welcome to Complete Developer Raw, a live show with Will and BJ. Hey, there's a cartoonist, and there we are. Hey, sorry about that. I'm a little off this week, guys. It's a bit crazy, but guess what? I remembered to do before we started streaming.
You actually posted in Slack?
I did post in Slack. So yeah, well, if you get a notification for Slack, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Like I said, I've been off this week. It's just been not off as in not working, off as in just out of it all week. It's been busy. Been prepping for finals. We got our study guide, so I just been working with that, doing a lot of work. They kind of had me all over the place at work. I had been putting out some fires, and then they had me working on a couple of things like rebuilding some stuff, and we're still like we got this one project. We're so close. We keep getting like these little bitty things. It's like, all right, we migrated all the data. All right, well, something's messed up. We got to fix it. We got to do a remigration, and then we got to fix this other thing, and just these little bitty things. You know how that is? Like when you're about to go to production, you're just
Yeah.
trying to get all those knocked out. I've sort of been on, I guess, on call like that, and just um, that kind of stress when I'm trying to work on something, but that other one takes priority if something comes up, along with the school, and then I've been doing a lot with the church lately too. It's just, oh man, I've just been so busy. This week was crazy too. I haven't really gotten to work out much, which I think is why I'm feeling kind of draggy. Is normally like I go to the gym every day, but yesterday I didn't get to go at all because I didn't even get home. I left around 6 and didn't get home until 9 o'clock. Um, and then Tuesday I didn't have time to, but I did actually take my dog and walked around the yard for about 30 minutes. So I got a little bit of exercise, but other than that, I am just packing up, getting ready to head out of town tomorrow for Easter, going down to visit my sister and my nieces. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm kind of looking forward to that. What's going on with you?
Well, other than actually seeing you today because you dropped your dog off at my
That's
house,
true. That's true. I did.
which I won't really have to do a whole lot with him. Like he hung out with me until my daughter got home, and then I probably will see him when you pick him back up.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of just the way that goes. I finished the manuscript for my book
Awesome.
Monday night, about 10 o'clock, I think. It's 242 pages. So I've got to go through and do all the editing. And then there's like glossary crap. And then there's something else. I've already got another multiple other book ideas that I may pursue in different ways. So yeah, the fast writing seems to be a thing. Other than that, I've been dealing with a lot of stuff at work. Just our workload is kind of spiked up a little bit. It's been kind of elevated for a while, and it looks like it's going to stay that way. So I'm doing a lot of really nasty database stuff. That's just it's just a lot.
Hmm.
But I am getting to play with .NET Core 2.2 web APIs and Swagger for for documenting the web APIs, which is pretty nice. So yeah, it's things are pretty good. I actually almost kind of took a break last night, and then I realized I had to do a show outline, and so that went away. But for 15 good minutes, I had a break. So I got that going for me.
That's good. Don't worry. The month of May, I think we both had planned on just relaxing. We got a couple of episodes. We got to each write. But we're gonna kind of take it easy in May. So I think the only obligations I have in May and June, I'm going out of town with family, but the only obligations I have in May are like church stuff that I've said I'd do. So that's really cool. Podcast wise, Will sent me a message yesterday about Restream. So we purchased a lifetime subscription to that. We're not using it because we literally got it yesterday, and I have not had time to even look at it or set it up. So we're still doing things the old way now. But
Yeah, that was an AppSumo deal, and you got to like when you get one of those, you just jump on it, and then
mhm.
you deal with whatever later.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And I told our technical manager person at church about it. I'm like, hey, I know we're not doing anything with streaming, but if we ever decide to, we could really use this tool, and it is absolutely worth it just to get it. So I don't know if they bought it or not, but I gave them the details, so that's cool. Um, but yeah, we're gonna be setting that up. Probably gonna be playing around with that in May. Like I said, nothing really scheduled, so that's when I'm gonna kind of just relax and play around with stuff. So let's see. We got Lucas says hi, thanks. Hey Lucas, how's it going, man? Um, so let's go ahead and move on into some questions.
All right. So the first listener question is, what's the most clever yet simple algorithm you've built or seen? It's clever yet simple. Hmm.
The
Think about
tricky
that one a
one.
little bit. Yeah.
So I'll tell y'all
Mm,
something. While Will's thinking, today uh, ran into this little problem where we have a we originally had this object separate from the main object that we're dealing with in this app, and we realized, oh no, it needs to be like a grandchild, like a list of objects under a list of objects. So just bear with me there, but so we put it in there, but we left some of the old stuff, like, oh well, here's like some calls and things to get to it without having that connection. um, and so in the migrated data, it doesn't always have those connections. So I put something together to be like, all right, well, let's find all those kind of like just loose ones sitting out there and connect them if it's the first time it's gone through here. That was cool. That worked until you had one that didn't have anything. And I wrote like this like really huge if statement with like, all right, well, if it's this, then we have to make this call over here to this big object and pull back this stuff from it. And like I was doing all this crazy stuff. And then I realized all the information that I was having to make these crazy like if statements and calls for was in the object being passed in.
oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I could get all of that information from one place. So I took what was probably about 15 to 20 lines of code and reduced it down to one, with just, okay, now all I have to do is pass in this information. So yeah, it was
Nice.
like just, it wasn't exactly clever so much as duh, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, you know, if something is a simple algorithm and is clever, you probably got taught it,
Yeah.
right? And so like it doesn't even register that, hey, this is slick. Like I do crap with callbacks all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And till you start really thinking about what that is, it doesn't even register as being something difficult. It's just like I'm passing a pointer to a chunk of code that I want to execute at
Yeah.
some arbitrary point in this other function, and you don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of really really clever stuff that just it's just kind of part of the everyday. I can't really
Mm-hmm.
think of anything that jumps out.
No.
I mean, it's pretty awesome when you consider some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight when we record. Some of the algorithms that go into that, with compilers and
Mm-hmm.
how those work. There's some really slick stuff there as far as like the way that it looks at a call graph and goes, okay, I need to, basically simplify this one because all these variables are constants and that's used, for this variable up here. We'll make this one that constant and just put it in line instead of, like just little things like that. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of power and it's really simple and it happens every day in your code. And you don't know.
So something I just noticed watching the Facebook Live video because it's a little bit off. Is when my face is just relaxed like that. I look
Yeah.
like I'm frowning because of the way my beard is. Because you can't really see my lips, but like this one little clear spot, and so it looks like I'm frowning.
Well, I
So
mean,
is
it's
that?
good, right? Like you don't want your resting face to be a, big grin like a scared submissive ape. So
I don't
it's
know. I
probably
kind of
just
want
as
my
well.
resting face to be something goofy, like.
Oh, that's just your face. It's
All right, moving on to the next question. What is the most annoying thing about being a developer? Hmm. Questions like this?
yeah.
Yeah, no. QA.
The fact that the real world never matches a model.
Yeah, that's true. Or or when you do like I did today, I told you about the that fix I put in. Well, I go through with all that, um, and the one scenario that just didn't never crossed my mind is exactly what got tested first. So I'm like, hey, it's fixed. No, it's not. Like 5 minutes later, I'm like, really? It was like
Yeah.
that, like the one thing that I didn't even just like the use case I didn't even think about, and then yeah, that took a little while to. That was a little bit trickier, but I figured that one out too. But yeah, it's like that. I think is the most annoying thing is when you work really hard on something to get a good fix, and you're kind of proud of it. You're like, hey, this is really cool. I put a lot of effort into it. I thought of something clever or something like that, and you pass it on, and then just immediately it's like, hey, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I think that's to me that's the most annoying thing because I'm annoyed at myself for not catching that before it got out.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Now, what about you?
Um, the constant obsolescence of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't really build a knowledge base in this industry as far as a platform before somebody changes it out from under you. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and so you end up, and it's not just at the individual level. Like it's one thing if, okay, I've got to learn some more stuff. That's fine. But what happens at like a team dynamic level is extremely frustrating because everybody on the bus is a complete bozo
Mm-hmm.
because nobody's got more than 6 months experience in this thing because it hasn't been around that long.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get you there.
Yeah, that's a little worrying as far as long-term
Or
stability.
there's always the we want you know we want someone with 10 years experience in Angular 6 and .NET Core.
Yeah.
And it's a misunderstanding of we want someone with 10 years experience and experience in these. Like it's
Right.
where people that don't know technology like and this isn't I'm not trying to bash HR, but
I am.
yeah, I know you are, but I'm not. And they don't know the technology. They don't know what those terms even mean. So
Yeah.
they see it and they interpret it one way, and I think that's where like hiring managers really need to step up and be like, all right, I need to write this so it cannot be misinterpreted. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Um, but I also think too that the other thing is, with the impermanence is when we have the attitude that, hey, this platform is going away in 6 months that I'm building on.
Mm-hmm.
I never look at my software and say, what happens 30 years from now when somebody's still running this? And that was a thought process that happened, especially like right at the tail end of the 90s, right? Because they're like, Y2K was all in your face.
Yeah.
And so people are like, hey, when we get to the end of the Unix epic, what happens?
Mm-hmm.
And now that's completely gone. And at some point, somebody's going to write software that is going to get used way into the future, right? Like things are going to calm down. It can't be this treadmill pace forever.
Well, I
Um,
mean, a lot of the stuff that I work on, being government stuff, is probably going to last for a while. Because I'm replacing things that are really old,
yeah,
and updating things. And so, yeah, I think there are people out there that are trying to build stuff to last. I know my leads and architect they're really trying to design the stuff that we build to be upgradable, to be sustainable. But yeah, I agree with you though. This whole attitude of it's constantly changing is not sustainable.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like people are starting to they're starting to architect their systems in such a way that they make the core of the business logic resilient to a lot of the change.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, which helps, but still it's just a weird spot to be in. Like, I mean, can you imagine a carpenter going, we'll fix these stairs next year if there's, if
Oh
they fall
no.
down. Like like we would not have a civilization if we did that. So at some point, like it's gonna get fixed.
We had a conversation not long ago about that attitude of, oh well, we'll get it in the next phase, or we'll get it when we return to this. And you have to have that a little bit because there may be things that your customer wants that you're like, all right, you've got your considerations. It's like, all right, we to get it to you in the time that you need it, we can't give you everything you want since you're changing what you want. So you got to give something up that we can maybe add in later. So you have to have that a little bit, but also like you said, it's a little over the top. So yeah,
Yeah, next time is also equivalent to never
that's so true.
most of the time, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
think about it. Like when somebody says next time on a software project iteration, don't hear it as like, okay, next week we'll go to lunch. Hear it as, oh, I don't know, next time you have a funeral, right? Like you're not going to do that twice.
Oh, what was
Um,
the what was it you said something in one of the recent episodes? I think it was the April 1st episode. You said something about uh someone inviting you to their wedding or something, and
no, I'm
you
saying what you don't say is maybe next time.
yeah. That's what you
Yeah.
made me think of.
Yeah. That's not going to go so well.
Guys, if
And
y'all
that's
haven't
how your
listened to that,
users kind of feel. They're like, oh, really? Maybe next time? Did you tell me what I could do with myself? Because that's what that sounded like.
yeah, guys, if y'all haven't listened to it, check that episode out. It's pretty good. It is. So, moving on to our third and final question for the evening.
Should I fire a developer because they can't implement a bubble sort algorithm? Okay.
I got this one for
Um,
Cora.
yeah. All right. I'm going to try to be nice. And I'm going to say
Try.
that, yes, you definitely should fire that developer because almost anywhere else they can go is going to be better than being with your dumb self.
I knew it was gonna be something like that.
Um,
I saw this
I'm
question. And I was like,
this
"What?"
okay. This is a fireproof wetsuit problem. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Uh huh.
Like, if you have to ask, is this wetsuit fireproof? You're not living right. And like the basis of that question is completely backward. I worked at a company years ago and I've told this story before, that bragged because they said, the first week I was there, they said, we had to write up 2 employees last week for working more than 96 hours. Like, it's one of those things where you have to be smarter to be wrong.
Yeah.
Like you win no points. Um, like this is I just I can't, like, I'm Gen X, but I gotta sound like a millennial and just say I can't even. That I like, do you actually think that anybody in a professional environment ever implements a bubble sort?
Well, here's my thought. If that is such a consideration, why wasn't it in the interview process? I mean, think about it.
Yeah,
Where is the only time you're ever going to have to implement a bubble sort? Well, the only time I've ever had to actually like implement one was in an interview, and that was only because I couldn't remember like off the top of my head the call to do it. And I said, "But I can tell you how it works." And so they said, "Do that." And so
yeah.
I wrote a bubble sort on the um the board, and that impressed them. I actually got an offer from them 2 months later after I'd already accepted another job.
Yeah. So the other thing is should I fire a developer because they don't know something? right? If you said, hey, they're incompetent and here is the cost of their
Mhm.
incompetence, fine. But when you say they're incompetent and I can't prove it other than trying to do so by way of academic crap, like you're a horrible person and you should be fired for being in a position to think that you should fire somebody over that because you are incompetent. In fact, that's meta incompetence. Okay, that is incompetence that creates other incompetence and is not able to judge incompetence.
I knew this question was going to be fun.
I mean, holy crap. Like somebody that asks this kind of stuff is a hiring manager. Like, okay, if their IQ in Celsius was the temperature of your refrigerator, you wouldn't be worried about the meat. I mean, like, was this on Quora? Like, can I have a link? I want to just,
I'll
I
send
want
you
to
the
make
link.
somebody, I just want to make somebody go to a bar and stare at the wall
Yeah.
with my response because this is
I'll
dumb.
I didn't even read the response to it, but I'll send you the link to it
I'm
on
sure there's
Quora.
somebody worse than me. I mean,
Oh yeah, there
granted,
are.
I'm dropping some salt already today, but dang.
Yeah, there are definitely some people worse than you. But yeah, man. All
Well,
right.
that's how I get by.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man. So talking about being just out of it and tired, I was just noticing the the dark under my eyes. Sorry, kind of meta noticing about things about myself here. Look, watching the video as
Yeah,
we
you
were
look like
speaking.
hammered crap.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, to be honest with you. And the crazy thing, I really do think that it is because I haven't been to the gym this week. Even Monday when I did go, I went walking, took the dog to the park to walk, and my mom joined us. So we only walked about a quarter of what we normally do, and at a quarter of the pace.
Nice. Hey, I saw that a buddy of mine, James Alexander, liked the video.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What's
Yeah.
up, man?
So
Speaking of people that write books, I am back to reading his book. I just like stopped all media consumption when I
oh
was
yeah,
writing the tail end of mine, but just wanted to shout out to him and to Lucas.
yeah, yeah.
And
I like some of the stuff that James posts on Facebook.
yeah,
It's pretty good stuff. All
he's
right,
good
guys.
people.
Yeah, he is. He really is. Though I think I've only met him in person once, and that was only like briefly. So, anyways, guys, our upcoming episode coming out this next week is scheduling under pressure. The longer your career goes, the more likely it is that you'll get overloaded with work, whether it's because your company is understaffed, your manager assigns you too much stuff to do, or because schedules aren't managed well. There will come a point when you have more stuff to do than you can easily handle. In the episode, we're going to talk about some strategies that you can use to stay sane when this happens. Now, while the episode is really geared toward more senior developers, Will wrote it. It it does have a lot of strategies that can be used by junior developers as well. The thing is, and having being in sort of the between junior and senior and still kind of mentoring some juniors um, along the way, I gotta say these are things that you need to learn early so that you can start applying them to your career now before the pressure hits. You use these, and then when the pressure hits, you're not as stressed out. You might still be as tired and have the lines under your eyes like I do, but you will not be as stressed. You know what? I just got a shout out about our last week's episode. We had a couple of really great guests on. The audio wasn't the best quality. That happens sometimes. I think it was more equipment based than anything else. But we had the guys, the founder of Vets Who Code, and then one of the veterans that went through that program on to talk about it. They are doing some really awesome stuff. Guys, we were on that call a lot longer than that episode. Will stayed on and talked to him even later after my computer crashed. Thank you, Windows. And but no, those guys are great. I unfortunately had to cut some of the stories out. I left the best ones in, but they had a lot of great stories to tell. It's a really great program, especially if you're a veteran and want to get involved with it. You can get on there and do that. Even if you're not, they got ways you can get involved and donate. It's a really great thing that they're doing for the men and women that have served in our armed forces here in the U.S. So check that out. It's really cool. And one last shout out. I see a former boss of mine and friend Jason Mull is watching. Hey Jason, how's it going? So guys, we're gonna hop off here, and as Will said, we're gonna record an episode on compilers. So it's gonna be highly technical, very geeky, and yeah,
In
it's
need of scotch.
yeah, yep. Scotch or well, I'm out of water, but
Oh wow,
we'll have to.
that sounds like a good time to get scotch. I mean, you don't want to mix them. So
Yeah. Well. Anyways, we're gonna hop off here, guys, and we will talk to y'all later.